What's happening, chat? Wait for the delay to kick in. Now, let's have a look at this inspiring words. These inspiring words. Fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. Imagine if you were so scared of the future, you basically stopped pursuing any dream you ever had. Now, I like to think back when Hex was near all-time highs, and I was so concerned about the tax aspect of it. It literally stopped me from taking certain actions. Now, I should have listened to Tony Robbins, because he literally said, you know, you're going to be so scared of making all this money because you have to pay all this tax. It's like, maybe you should have made the money first and then worried about the taxes. Because, you know, you can review these things and, well, more information, more data, more software, you know, better understanding. Anyway, that is a story best kept for another time. The next thing, so that's why I thought I would bring this up first, because there might be other people out there. Maybe something is holding back their dreams, you know. Hopefully Hex will help people achieve this, but hopefully crypto will help people achieve this, but people have to find this. People have to discover, you know. People have to learn, they have to want to learn, they have to be open, they have to have time to look into these sorts of things. Not everyone does. Not everyone is like you and I, who have been so lucky to find DeFi, cryptocurrencies, and the like in this particular point in time. We have seen recently the live streaming of Gary Gensler's SEC crypto enforcement actions. Now, this article from Bloomberg states, Gary Gensler's SEC crypto enforcement actions are crystal clear. Just a reminder, I'd like to point out, here are some very crystal clear responses.
As amended, I'm asking you, sitting in your chair now, to make an assessment under the laws as exist. Is Ether a commodity or a security? Without speaking to anyone. I know you've repeatedly said you're not going to speak to one, except you've spoken to one, Bitcoin.
Now let's watch that again with no audio and we'll see some body language. I think Gary Gensler's body language does not seem confident in answering these questions. Again, go watch the whole thing over and get better context. However, I question that body language. Now, moving on. The next thing. Out of all of this seems to be emerging. So as needs are discovered, and especially, I guess, in a business sense, solutions are sought after. So people are now providing solutions like this. Now, this is interesting. It's called a crypto, well, this is the headline, crypto wallet firm Trezor adds privacy enhancing CoinJoin feature to Bitcoin transactions. Now, why is this? Well, my take on this is, one such issue is that crypto exchanges can easily link individuals' real-world identities to their Bitcoin addresses and can track their transactions even after they withdraw funds. CoinJoin obscures Bitcoin transactions, histories, and prevents such surveillance. Now, maybe, if you look at it from the other way around, maybe it's even for the exchanges themselves. Maybe it is for their protection, because they will be able to present to everyone, you know, on-chain data without doxing their user base. Maybe that's useful, because they could say, look, this is the on-chain data, but for privacy reasons and for security reasons, for internal risk reasons, we've decided not to disclose, you know, people's actual wallets, because then people could go around and try and locate them, you know. it goes on to say, with CoinJoin, users can divide their Bitcoin balance into small amounts with no transaction history. Similar to breaking a large dollar bill down into smaller denominations, this feature provides an extra layer of protection for privacy-conscious individuals. Again, this might be for exchanges as well, you know. I think the phrase, to paraphrase, is like, when something's invented that's amazing, you just wonder why the inventor themselves would not use it if it's so amazing. That comes to mind, you know. Now, again, not like a pro Bitcoin shill here or anything, but pointing out that at this point in time, when we have the head of SEC in the mainstream media being pushed as crystal clear, when their actual words are shaky and uncertain, with no answer, with no direct answer, it appears a solution is being presented to the masses to be able to provide a layer of not anonymity, but privacy. You know, a privacy preserving technique is this one, and this is from Tracer. Now, funnily enough, at the same time, we're seeing this. Because, you know, as innovation is born, at the same time, mostly there's competition, unless you want a monopoly. Now, do you really want a monopoly on crypto hardware wallets? What if one's compromised? What if, you know, Elon Musk said about in the World Economic Forum, you know, what if civilization is compromised and one fails and we're all part of this World Economic Forum government, one world government initiative? Maybe you don't want that, you know, maybe you have, you know, different rates of growth, maybe you have different sectors of humanity, so if one fails miserably, the other one can continue on and knowledge is not completely lost. Now, it's kind of a different topic, but we're talking about cryptocurrency here in relation to competing hardware wallets. Now, hardware wallet maker Ledger has recently come out and also said crypto custodian Etana target institutions with regulated custody. So it says the companies are looking to make it easier for institutions to hold digital assets and bolster investor confidence in the market. So maybe they're coming from the angle whereby not your keys, not your coins, you know. Maybe they're coming from the angle of, I guess, not purely Bitcoin, but all of crypto. So if they can't provide a privacy enhancing technique to one particular cryptocurrency, then maybe they're going to at least provide on-chain data. Now, as I previously just said before, maybe they don't want to share this on-chain data, but with the failures of FTX and things like that, maybe people are going to be seeking out this information, because without it, maybe they're not going to be as favorably viewed by the regulators. I'm not sure. Because, you know, blockchain, on-chain data, kind of necessary to reduce risks, in my opinion. Other side of that coin is you reveal your wallets, you're open to doxing. However, people would need to have this information, so an exchange point would be an attack vector. It's interesting to think about. This is why you need privacy, because you don't want the on-chain data of an exchange, if it was compromised, to be leaked, like similar to Celsius did when their documents that got released with their holders' wallets. If only they were operating in a way to reduce risk with on-chain data to back it up. So maybe they were moving it from here to there to secure wallets, and it was all on-chain, and then you're able to keep track, you know, of it. You know, so some basic accounting. One would think that's not too hard to ask in companies that deal with multi-millions of dollars and the higher thresholds of multi-millions of dollars. Now, it says to bolster investor confidence. It also points out that Well, that's about it. It's basically the realization of institutional clients that not your keys, not your coins. That is literally the talking point. So while we have Gary Gensler and some mainstream media outlets pushing how clear and crystal clear the enforcement was in his recent testimony, we have his actual words that he spoke showing uncertainty, showing the inability to communicate clearly and effectively with a broad audience what it is he is actually thinking. On multiple times he was asked, he was unable to answer. Watch it again in not in slow motion, but watch it again with no sound. Look at the body language when certain questions are posed to him. As a result, I'm thinking lots and lots of people are noticing this, and they're thinking, why is this in charge? You know, unless a lot of people just stand down and decide to let these guys win, to let these guys take over cryptocurrency. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't take too kindly to that, you know? Now, peacefully and politically, I'm saying we need to push back and point out to them why what they say, one, affects the markets. We can see how the markets have reacted to the news. Two, point out to them how their logic makes no sense. No sense at all. Two simple things that I can think of. Now there's probably more. Now, we can see here, following up with that, you know, how they had this particular meeting. Some people are talking about it in the crypto space, and then, you know, it's pulling back. People might tie the two together. However, is it actually what is taking place? Let's have a look. Oh, they're talking about cutting rates. Okay, bad news. From what I'm hearing, rates aren't going to get cut. And if they do, that means the economy is in pretty bad shape. Anyway, different topic. Okay, so this is their take, you know, and this is after it's happened. So it's like, why did it pull back? It's like, well, it would have been good to know it was going to pull back before it pulled back. That would have been more useful. But sometimes certain media outlets, you know, make money off of having you listen to them. Simply put, you know, sometimes they get it wrong, and most of the time they're behind. And that is how, quite often, you get this message that all seems to be from the same playbook. Now, moving on. I thought I would cover this. Now, this is just, I don't even know how to word this. The irony. Declared dead as publisher announces sensitivity rewrite of 1984. So it's not just some books that, you know, being flagged for sensitivity issues. It's the book 1984 itself is being flagged for a sensitivity rewrite. The irony could not be stronger. It's like, what was written in the book? Oh wait, we rewrote some sections. Sorry, 1984 is no longer 1984. Anyway, so I just thought this was pointed out to me, and I'm like, are you serious? So I had to go check, and I found it, and this is back from about a month ago. I couldn't believe it. Like, the book that is resonating so strongly with a lot of people at this point in time, I don't know why that is being flagged for sensitivity rewrite. Okay, so let's just take that in, and let's you know, look through my lens of the world, which may not be the same as yours, and then view this Gary Gensler's the enforcement arm and their approach to cryptocurrency. Now, it might just be me, but I can see some issues with their approach. Now, how we fix it, I think people need to respond, people need to comment. But whether they will or not, I don't know. But it turned out in Australia, there was some other people who did comment and who did come in, and they were the larger players, surprisingly enough. So maybe, just maybe, it's going to be a situation where the larger players come in, make comments. On the back of them will be I'm hoping will be the sheer number of individuals who are enthusiasts within this space, who might want to make a change for the world for the better, because fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. Now, the next thing I found, this is just strange. I find this strange. I'm not understanding the logic. Is it a surprise that with Germany closing its last nuclear power plant, that electricity bills are going to spike up by 45%? So, again, you might not agree with the zero hedge and their particular narrative, like a sub narrative that they might have behind their media outlet. But looking at this article and looking at the timing of the net zero climate goals, it's interesting to say the least. Is it incompetent? I'm not sure. But what they're talking about, let's have a net zero climate goal. So let's close the nuclear power plants and then only have coal. And then the electricity will spike up 40%, 45%. Okay. So kind of good if you're owning alternate energy to nuclear, such as coal. It's supposed to be the green new savior energy the green energy that's gonna save us all. But it turns out they're gonna be going to coal. Okay, right. That makes so much sense. And let's close down nuclear because it's dirty. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Again, just double check this stuff because I can't believe it. It's by far so it's not only its most reliable, it's cheapest. So they're going to close down their cheapest and most reliable power source in the name of going woke. And then you wonder, while all this green new scam thing is being rolled out, you wonder why most likely companies that are in traditional markets are probably going to clean up. It's like, okay, we're gonna ban, we're gonna turn the water off at the tap. It's like, well, what do you think is gonna happen to bottled water sales? Oh, it might go up. Yeah, it might. It just might. I mean, that's an absurd analysis, but we have a country closing down its most cheapest and reliable power source. This is insane. It makes no sense. Now this makes even less sense. Former director of the National Intelligence says lab leak the only credible explanation for COVID pandemic. Now people said this was insane because it came from whatever they said it came from. But I thought, well, let's go have a look at what actually took place. Again, people may not agree with the narrative within a narrative of a particular media outlet, but I thought I would cover it anyway. Because you can't just ignore something because you dislike it. Generally, you would point out both sides to every argument, and the strongest side, the most factual side, would win. Now that's how it's supposed to work. That's why I think Elon Musk bought Twitter, to stop this mass censoring because of at times, political ideology. Anyway, moving on to, it also could be why people moved from certain platforms. Like if you remember a while ago, Joe Rogan moved off of YouTube from memory and went to Spotify. Maybe. it was to send a message. I don't know. Maybe it was for money. Who knows? But let's listen to this one. 53 seconds. That shouldn't be too bad.
Year of the pandemic. My informed assessment as
so with Twitter now owned by Elon, this is actually able to be shown on here, because I would imagine with the previous ownership, possibly the code that was set up, or if it was manual intervention or automated, I'm not sure. This sort of data may not have been able to be displayed on here without getting like automatically banned and accounts being censored and closed.
a person with as much, my informed assessment as a person with as much access as anyone to our government's intelligence during the initial year of the pandemic has been and continues to be that a lab leak is the only explanation credibly supported by our intelligence, by science, and by common sense. From a view inside the IC, if our intelligence and evidence supporting a lab leak theory.
Throughout the whole thing, trust the science was cited and parroted. It's almost a sick joke. Almost.
Was placed side by side with our intelligence and evidence pointing to a natural origins or spillover theory, the lab leak side of the ledger would be long, convincing, even overwhelming, while the spillover side would be nearly empty and tenuous. Were this a trial, a preponderance of circumstantial evidence provided by our intelligence would compel a jury finding of guilt to an accusation that coronavirus research in the Wuhan labs was responsible for the pandemic.
So, going back to the body language, let's have a look at this guy with no audio. Let's see if he believes what he's saying. Wish I could speed it up. This seems to be a lot more convincing than this, whatever this is. Let's watch this again. Is this an entertainment at this point of view? Sick entertainment. Now, yeah, for what it's worth, I thought I would cover that. Before I cover this, Russia's war in Ukraine. We can't escape this. This could be affecting economies, markets, etc., etc. So I thought, well, let's have a look at CNN. Let's not completely, look at only one source of data and then discredit almost every other source of data because I don't agree with it or I don't like it or something like that. Let's just have a look what's out there, right? Let's cast the net far and wide. Now, I thought the most interesting thing was the Russia war in Ukraine, basically saying, where was it? I think it's updated previously since I was looking at it. So, do a refresh. Yeah, so 7 minutes ago. It's a nightmare in Kiev. Here's what you need to know. Now, for whatever reason, if you analyze it, why is it that, the country like the US is sending weapons to Ukraine if Ukraine was so well prepared and equipped and able to defend against a country like Russia? Now, it's hard to explain this to people because they might think you're like supporting Russia. It's like, no, I'm pointing out logical facts here. Do you honestly think, what is more likely that Russia has the ability to, what's the technical word? I'm not a military guy, so someone will know what I'm talking about. If you have a map and you're looking at the map and you see all of Russia and you have all their weaponry, what is the likelihood of that being able to take over the map of Ukraine versus Ukraine and all their weaponry being able to, and only their weaponry, being able to invade and conquer all of Russia? Now, what is the likelihood of A happening and what is the likelihood of B happening? I would say in that example, most likely A would happen. It's very unlikely B is going to happen. But if you point that out, people, I don't know, the people that have the Ukrainian flags stuck on their back of their car get upset with you, and because you've upset them, they no longer want to hear you. So if it was a Twitter argument, they would most likely block you and censor you and probably report you and try and have your account shut down. And if you were Twitter itself, you probably just censor the person into oblivion. Luckily, we're moving into a different era. Kind of. I'm hoping people can wake up and realize that this escalation is, simply put, I think, is not good. Now, I don't like war. I think it's honestly a huge testing ground for their new weapons. I think it's almost two egos clashing with the US and Russia. I think that it's not going to end well. I think it could have been handled a lot better. However, how, I'm not sure. With everything else going on, it just adds fuel to the fire, which is planet Earth. Now, changing gears ever so slightly, thinking back to the literal, sensitivity rewrite of 1984, literally, and most people may not have a hard copy. Now, actually, the libraries have hard copies. I don't think they're going to burn the book, so you can probably go out and get them, buy them. I don't know if you wanted to before the sensitivity rewrite takes place. But just imagine, there was recently a documentary on showing what the world could look like. Would most likely look like if you're in China, but it could look like, well, I guess it could look like if the US became China or Australia became China, Imagine going onto Netflix and everything's been banned and you can no longer view what you once found to be interesting. With the reliance of technology, we are making this more and more possible, because previously you used to own a DVD, a VHS, maybe you taped it onto a hard drive from TV, but now it's like, no, we'll just buy it digitally. The book's not available in hard copy, so you would download the digital version. And God forbid, I'll cover this next, but God forbid something happens to that data, God forbid, it gets put into a no-go zone through a control system. And then I could go on and on, which I won't. Point is, we think this is insane. It would never happen, but with countries like China actually doing this, putting people into re-education camps, so mass surveilling people, social credit score, banning everything, having a closed internet, in some extreme cases forcefully harvesting organs from detainees to most likely sell them or use them. With those things happening in countries at the moment, it is worrisome that it could come to a country near you. It might not be to the same level. I pray it's not to the same level. I don't think it's going to be to the same level. But it's kind of what we don't want to be, It's like a big giant North Korea. It's like communism on crack, with big giant militaries and constant attacks on the entire planet, stealing intellectual property and influencing it through their, what are they called? The university groups, I can't even think of it. And the private police forces that are cropping up everywhere. The Confucius Institute, I think it was called. It never ends. It never ends. But we know, well, I like to think I know what I don't want the country to turn out to be. But hiding this is probably not a good idea. And this is the great thing with the internet. We're able to, find all of this. Now, whether or not it's actually true, because maybe this is just all fake and I'm reading just fake news here and it doesn't happen, you know, and I have some own Lundberg conspiracy about what this is, you know. But what I'm saying is, if it is true, this information can be passed around more easily now in this day and age. So this is the what I was leading into. Now you could say, well, imagine, like, there's a few ways I can attack this. How would AI take over the world? Is it imminent that it's going to take over the world? Well, what happens if you just turn it off? I mean, that's it's like, this computer's going to attack. Oh, and just turn it off at the power, you know. It's pretty simple. But imagine though, like I said, with the servers that hold all this information, what if they go offline, you know? You lose that information. What if all of humanity's information was put onto computers and somehow there's a glitch in the matrix? No, I'm kidding. Somehow there's a huge, you know, something that causes mass damage to the servers that store all the data. What happens then, you know? Well, this is what happens. Is AI going to take over? What if you just burn the AI, that's the hostile AI? You just burn the server. It loses, right? So I don't think that's like it's not like the Terminator Skynet thing just yet. I mean, I don't think we've let it get that far, personally. Although I can see it, possibly. But then it's like, well, hang on. When I read it like this, there's a point to that. And then I noticed this. So a fire broke out in a data center. And what happened? Then the fire caused the data center to stop functioning, which caused the ability to access medical records. It made that stop functioning. So when that stopped functioning, you have no access to anything, you know. I'm still fascinated how the internet, like, where is the internet? Who controls the internet? Where are the servers kept for the internet? I hope they do not have this same issue, because it would suck. I don't think they do, but I just noticed this and I'm like, hang on, that's not good, you know. You ever had a blackout and you try to, like, you're at the shops and it's a cashless society and you have a blackout? It's fun. Oh my god, it's fun. Imagine the future where everything I remember we had this was a few years ago, there was a statewide blackout here in South Australia, like an actual statewide blackout. I literally had, there was other people, not just me, but I was one of the lucky ones who had like 1 bar of signal somehow, and I was able to post on a forum. I'm like, yeah, so we have no power and everything's down. And I went to the petrol station, there was backup lights on, I think, but you could not pump fuel to get more fuel for your car. And I was like, this is so crap. The entire street was dark. It was insane. I still remember that day. Following up from that, Elon Musk, I think, not sure if he came to South Australia, but at some stage built and helped roll out one of the larger batteries in the southern hemisphere. It was kind of cool. It was kind of sucky to realize how frail the infrastructure was. Like, apparently a large group of lines connecting to somewhere vital for the electricity went down. So that is why I choose to have a battery backup. I should probably get a generator. You guys maybe might want to get a generator. I'm not sure. You probably already got them. But, you know, like, just when you're going on a long trip, you know, maybe a long car trip, you know, maybe you might want to take a jerry can. Now, after that, those ramblings for the day, what do we sing? I hope people do not fear how to be their best self. I hope I hope money's not causing them fears to pursue their dreams, you know. I hope the whole crypto cage that you're trapped in right now is not causing you stress. It's not causing you mental health issues, you know. It's not causing you reasons to kill your dreams. If you're stressing about this, stressing about that, I don't know. I hope crypto can free us all, not enslave us all. And at the moment, we're seeing moves from the SEC through crystal clear communication, which doesn't look so crystal clear in practice. We're seeing, you know, multiple hardware wallet providers working on different aspects to try and help institutions, retail investors, and anywhere in between, I'd like to think, understand the importance of privacy because it works both ways and because it's important. It is very important, the fact of, you know, not your keys, not your coins. Now, I think people are starting to realize this in the wake of the whole what we've seen in this crypto space. Now, not everyone is as lucky as I to have discovered all the HEXicans, discovered Hex very early on, and be able to, you know, understand a lot of this stuff in cryptocurrency. Now, I'm thinking the next level up would be understanding liquidity pools, would be understanding how to run validators and nodes for various blockchains, whether that be your favorite one or whether that be any other one that you feel needs to be kept alive, because without you keeping it alive, it's gonna end up like this server, and it will, you know, cease to exist, like literally. We see, you know, the CNBC articles explaining what they think took place, it was taking place after the price has already dropped. Now, if you wanted to, you know, make money off of this, I don't think consuming this data will help you make money. It might make you feel more intelligent. It might make you think that you know what's going on because you read it in black and white from a trusted news outlet. But in reality, what were you fed? I sometimes wonder if we're being fed like mushrooms. So the saying goes. Sometimes I get it right though. Sometimes, but it's not very often I read an article that says, you know, Ethereum price will go up, and when the price go up, the gas fees will go up, and then if you happen to run any functions on Ethereum, those functions will be more expensive depending on what contract you're running. I'm yet to see an article like that, and then them showing in real time, oh look, the price is going up, and for some reason the gas is going up also, and pointing that sort of stuff out, you know. Instead it's like, why did Ether fall? We think it's this and this. We're right. And you go, oh, that's why it fell. Oh, okay, cool. But then people in watching it more closely might have their own take. Maybe people are being spooked out by this guy and his unclear, you know, unclear wording, which according to some articles are crystal clear. Now, I was going to, I thought this was ripe for memeing. You could imagine, you know, this open hand, open eyes, open mouth. You know, like something, I don't know. Anyway. Then I covered briefly 1984 being rewritten. And then I covered a country deciding to close its most reliable power source, and by far it's cheapest. Okay, yep. What part of this makes sense? What's happening, Finn Bear? I'm just closing out. I was just covering the world and how it's gone insane. Oh, cheers for the shout out in the chat before as well, man. Appreciate it. The world's gone crazy, man. I don't know. Seriously, at this point in time, are we? It's almost like we're in a sick. So instead of watching TV shows, it's like we watch Big Brother. You know that TV show, and you watch the people in the house. It's like the people in the house are like watching the the outside world and just laughing at it. It's crazy. No way, I missed it. No, it's all good, bro. I'm about to close. I think I started streaming straight after Crispy Man. Oh, yeah, this is crazy. Why would a country is this even? Why would a country close its cheapest and most reliable power source? I don't know. I'm stupid. I'm stupid too, man. But like, I'm reading this stuff and I'm like, these people are extra stupid that are running us. But then it's like, hang on, they're the ones running us. How are they stupid? We need to be running them, even though they work for us. You know, we vote them in and out, literally. But it's like, ever since some things have happened, over time, it's progressive creep, and it feels like more and more government has, you know, sort of got power hungry, and they've lost their way, and they forget that they work for us, and they sort of think they can get away with things, and once they get away with one little thing, they keep, you know, spreading their tentacles, and then you end up with this deep state sort of a situation. And I was just covering this, like, the heading, and I'm like, oh my god, really? So I'm like, okay, we'll check it out. And then this guy's actually talking about it. I'm like, oh my god, he's serious. In energy, island, and immigration. And then the war's not looking too good. Like, it's not. I don't understand why people think, like, do people really think that Ukraine is like going to win this war? Is that what people are thinking? That's insane. I was making a comparison of, like, imagine two maps. You know, Ukraine, Russia. It's like, what do you think is more likely with one map, with all Russia's weapons taking over Ukraine, versus the other map with Ukraine and all its weapons taking over Russia? So what do you think is more likely? Honestly, it's not pointing out, like, it's not being all pro-Russia or anything. It's just pointing out logically. Anyway, and then we got this. I was just covering organ transplants in China and how that's actually a thing. You know, if you don't toe the line. Now, that's not likely. I hope it's not likely to come to any other countries. But it's just, you know, when things get bad, this is how far it can go. So your country might not want to be like China, you know, like a big giant North Korea on crack. And then I was covering this. We had basically a data center catch fire here in, like, our state, my state, the state where I reside. And it pointed out that because it crashed, it caused access to medical records to crash. It's like, well, and then that reminded me of a while ago, you might have seen on the news, you might not have though, but it was like a statewide blackout. This was years ago. Basically, long story short, we had a fragile infrastructure kind of, and it led to the big giant battery that built by Musk to be built here in South Australia. And I said, I'm not sure if it actually came here or not, but yeah, that actually happened. It's kind of cool. That's not why I was saying maybe have some backup power sources, some firewood, you know, some fireplaces, some backup generators, and things like that, you know, depending on what you want to use it for. And then covering crypto, other than this, watch with no sound. Dude, don't say that, man. Shit. Can you imagine? We'll pull this up. We'll talk about this. Can you imagine people that did those DNA tests, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we fed that into the supercomputer, and we matched that with your digital passport. Cheers. It's like, you didn't read the terms and conditions? This was part of the terms and conditions, yeah? And it's like, oh yeah, by the way, while we were swabbing that giant thing up your nose, we were taking your data and grabbing a DNA sample while we're at it. You know, it was in the terms and conditions. You didn't read the terms and conditions before you drove in? Before you decided to download the app? I think my mind thinks about it. It's insane. Dude. Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly that. So we caught you reading, we heard you were bad mouthing the SEC in Ginsler, and we heard you were promoting privacy, and we heard that you were disagreeing with the mainstream media's take, and we heard that you didn't like the sensitivity rewrite of 1984. And we heard that you were bad-mouthing, you know, the decision to close off the cheapest, most reliable power in the planet. And then we heard you were actually talking about what probably took place in regards to the pandemic from a former national director of intelligence. And then we heard that, you know, you were spouting propaganda that you thought Ukraine would not win this war. So we've decided to, you know, we've reviewed your case, and it's now time you owe us a kidney and maybe half your lung. Dude, is that? I don't know if you're trolling, man, but it might get to that point. Where is it? I didn't believe this. Like, when I read an email and it pointed this out. I'm like, are you serious? The classical political novel will be rewritten by inclusion and diversity specialists who think they know better than George Orwell. It's like, do you understand the irony? Like, these people, the diversity specialists rewriting Orwell. It's like, Big Brother. The character Big Brother will be known as middle sibling. Okay, because, you know, you don't like Big Brother watching. What, middle sibling? The authoritarian totalitarian government is reduced to two hipsters arguing over the temperature. I swear to God, this has gotta be it. Is this a, what is this? Hang on. Is this website? Are you serious? I can't believe this. Like, I honestly think this is not real, but... Hang on. Wait, is this real? I'll put link. Oh, thank God. Is this April Fool's? That's pretty funny if it is. I don't even know, man. Hang on. I'm gonna search off stream. I need another source of information for my sleuthing, because now I'm casting doubts on what I'm reading because of the absurdity of it. The News Daily. We've got Quora. See what Quora says. Trusted source of information. It's some burner email. I give up. I give up on the internet. Hang on. What? Dude, I don't even know what to do anymore. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. And then when I read this thing, I'm like, no way. Let's have a look. Censorship, shadow banning. 1984 comes to China. China has the most of the apparatus of the totalitarian societies described in Orwell's book. China is working hard on AI while using facial recognition software and ambiguous digital surveillance to keep track of citizens. The internet is censored and monitored. Real-life thought police will arrest you for expressing opinions opposed to the government's or its policies. Millions of Chinese have been arrested, sent to re-education camps for brainwashing. The lucky ones, or involuntary organ removal without anesthetic. The unlucky ones who die in excruciating pain and are swiftly cremated as a result. While these atrocities are not going to happen in the US, or what passes for the West these days, the less extreme aspects of China's surveillance state could well be. That is what I read. And while you might not be arrested for expressing unpopular opinions or challenging prevailing dogmas, at least not yet, you could face other sanctions, or it says you could even lose your job and find it nearly impossible to find another. Now that's kind of scary because I believe that, especially after what took place with the whole virus pandemic. If you didn't toe the line, you were out, and there was no logic behind this. There was politicians screaming in Parliament about it. And then looking back at it now, they're not saying a word. Now let's have a look. It says, see, this is what I read. Incidentally, Penguin's Books, 1984's publisher, wants to edit the book to reflect modern, more progressive sensibilities. Do you think they get the irony? Now, so it hasn't actually happened. So I'm more inclined to think I just got trolled. Where is it? Feb 24th though. Now, quite possibly a comedian from memory. See if I can find it live on stream. Basically, it says it wants to reflect more modern and progressive sensibilities. I'm gonna find this article for you guys. And it was really weird on my Google. I think I'll show you. This just randomly happened on my search tab. Okay. So I used to use the news tab like a lot, and now it's just like dropped off. Like, I don't know how, but they've dropped it back to here. So I'm like, that's really weird, particularly for me. Anyway. See, I can't actually find that. That's interesting. Like, I don't know where they got it from. I know there's that raw dial book editing and all that. Like even like literally changing the books to downloaded ones. So okay, it's like you agreed to the terms and conditions. Maybe they've kind of hidden that because that could like maybe get some backlash. Yeah, that's the one. I remember. I didn't think it was a big at the time, but I heard lots of stuff people talking about on the radio. I thought it was kind of strange. Victory for authors as Penguin Random House purchasers. That's 1984, suddenly a bestseller. That's strange. I can't actually find what they're talking about. Maybe this is legit. But it just doesn't sound right. It's like meanwhile Roldale's children's book's been rewritten to exercise language. Puffin deems offensive. Okay, maybe it's legit. That is just strange, man. Censoring Roald Dahl, the plus tweet. Yeah, so there's a bit of coverage. The Forgotten Prophet. Animal Farm. That was a good one. Okay, anyway. Imagine if everything was online and like something happens to the servers. Oh my god. But then also, imagine, if all the books are online and something happened to the servers accidentally. Oh my god. Internet kill switches and that. Oh my god. But then it's like, also, imagine if there was this all sentient AI being and it's just like, you just turn the power off and reset it. And it's just like back to normal. It forgot everything it learned. That would be funny. Now, where was I? Yeah, went off a bit of a tangent there. Dude. Man, my internet's going crazy tonight. What the hell? Yeah, that's right. I need to control alt delete this stream. It's like it's like the internet's trying to dox me. I'm having to go back and just rewatch. Digital burner. Anyway, I have to edit that part out. So hopefully this keeps in some of the people who are interested in cryptocurrency, who thinks it can save them. Hopefully it saves all of us in terms of being able to provide you with some financial freedom, to which you can then use to maybe spread the message of freedom, to maybe push back against some politicians, to maybe enrich your life. And once your cup is full and overflowing, maybe it overflows to some other people. Because the APR is looking pretty juicy, if you ask me. And this is the sort of stuff that I hope will get people interested into this sort of space. And then once they, are in this space, in this area, maybe they can stumble across something like Hex, and maybe they're like, what is this over here, or the staking, or what is this thing over here, the burning, or what is this, the mining, and then they discover that it's like one of the best performing things on the new chain, which might save them because they're going to go over here. And if it loads, and the wonderful Ethereum gas prices, now it's not too bad, but then people who are trying to end Hex stakes, it kind of sucks. What was I going to say? Yeah, hopefully people come into here and they're like, oh, so Ethereum gas prices are insanely high. What is this pulse chain? What does this mean, Dude. It would be like freedom, It would be insane freedom. I would hope it would be insane freedom for everyone who partakes in the Hex ecosphere, the Richard Hart ecosphere. Honestly, that's what I pray that happens. Not immediately, but I'm guessing over time. Can you imagine? I know this is, but like my analysis is these prices haven't got any blow off valve. They can't. People are going to be dumping hard. God, dude, yeah. It would be. It wouldn't. It would. I got into Hex, right. I honestly priced in at. I said, okay, if this thing goes to $1, maybe I get $1 million. That's how much Hex I got. Like at the very beginning. And then since then, it was just mind shattering watching it go from under a penny and above. And then on top of that, the staking. And like people who actually lock it up and burn it and mine Hex, or whatever you want to call it, let the code do its thing. By the time they're ready to mint, they've got more Hex than ever, should they choose to mint. Because the funny thing is, what if they don't mint and they forget to mint and it bleeds away and it burns? It's like, well, you burnt it in the beginning, so you burnt it. So anyway, that's just some code things I'm thinking of. But like in terms of how you'd apply it to, yeah, not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice. But that's all. And then watching what it did hit the all-time high, that was just, I don't know, it was insane. Dude, the AA, I wish I could do that all again, but that's just not healthy. I remember I'm like day 33. I remember like thinking, why didn't I like what was the word? I can't remember. Why couldn't I enter into the adoption amplifier in day 33? And then I went back and I remembered this stream and I'm like, dude, that would have been a great day around those days. I think I basically forgot about it. And then I had a look back at, I think it was day 140. I completely forgot about all the Hex. And I came back, I'm like, oh no shit, this thing's doing something. What is this doing? So I'm like, okay, more. But then I'd been burnt that many times. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna like go heavily into this. And it's the one time, well, one of the few times I should have been a lot more greedy. But it's funny because I'm in a weird position now, like been in early, haven't seen, I saw mad gains, paper gains. I saw some opportunities which I didn't take due to my own, I mentioned this before. Basically I should have listened to Tony Robbins, you know, the performance coach, and he's like, some people block themselves because they're worried about all the tax they're going to pay before they make the money. And I was literally in that position. I'm like, oh, I look back and go, oh my God, I should have like approached it in this way, you know. And because of that, and then the price like pulling back harshly was unexpected. But again, because of the staking, I'm sort of chilling now going, well, I have to kind of wait until some stakes end, kind of have to wait until, you know, the price goes up again. Because when the price was super low, man, oh my God, the missus was like, because at that point in time, you know, you're looking at stake wrap and the thing's just dropping. And being in the system for so long and understanding I had the belief that, you know, the system will do its thing. The code is code. You can't change this. But then the price kept dropping. And I'm like, the missus is like, oh my God, you take something, I'm like, and then I think a stake ended. And I'm like, it was worth like not much, man. And then like literally not much. And then it's good though, the conversion between US to Australian. And so I'm like, okay. And so I took the amount that I was gonna sell. Yeah, I took the amount I was gonna sell. I'm like, nah, fuck this. Sorry to swear if anyone's like listening underage and stuff. And then I basically locked it away for a year and just saved myself from myself. And then it slightly recovered, you know, from the like the 1 point, no wait, not 1 point, was it 2.7 range ish. And throughout the whole time I was like struggling like really bad. I'm like doing Uber Eats and shit. I'm like, oh my God, if only, you know, if only my work weren't so douchey and required the jab. Like I could have used some extra cash to be like dollar cost averaging in. Oh dude, it's been a very hard year-ish plus. But it did manage, I gotta admit, it came at the right time. It did allow me to choose between, you know, getting jabbed and not getting jabbed and all that. I basically am pro-choice, heavily pro-choice when it comes to that. It allowed me for that. Then it did allow me, when the all-time highs were in, I thought, man, easy street. But then looking back at how much Hex was worth then, and then looking back at how much Hex was worth at the near the yearly all-time low, I guess you'd call it, I'm like, you can't sell at this point. That's just retarded. I'm like, the T-shares. I don't want my T-shares shrinking, you know. And then, yeah, so I'm like, I restaked. I'm like, I told you, restaking. Not, I keep on staking. I reburnt, locked in some more losses, I would say, and then, you know, I was like, dude, it was literally again saved me from myself. Now, the next time it comes around, because what I did, I laddered out. I literally had, man, it was only about 10 stacks, and like I said, I was like, I want $1 million once this hits $1. But then, like, I understood the T-share as it was explained, but I didn't know the rate at which it would be issued initially, because we needed all the calculators to come along. You guys were there and seeing it grow and everything. And I was like, okay, so now people are sitting on a lot more Hex than they were. Like in terms of the token itself. And then, yeah, mine's actually lower, man, because like I didn't have the, what happened? Because then what I did, I laddered in about, in every year. And so then what happened, I actually had like this pretty golden opportunity early on, right near the peak of all-time high. These stakes were coming out, and I was like, all I was thinking of was like how much tax to pay I was gonna have to pay on this, but I was doing it wrong, you know. And then I look back, I'm like, oh my god, why did I do that? But then the good thing was the I keep forgetting about the sacrifices, man. Like, I've just it's been so long now. I literally have no expectations. I know that the test nets are there and that, and I know that it's good, the Hexicans, and they all get together and create new content and stuff, and like try and I guess like in a decentralized, literally a decentralized manner, promote this sort of stuff, which is amazing, you know, unseen in other communities. And you got the aspect of like cybersecurity, you got the aspect of people trying to like really dig in deep to all this SEC stuff. But yeah, I think green candles would be good, you know. But it's like, it's kind of greedy because relative to what it was, these are green candles. Like Hex is at like what, 6 cents? 6-cent Hex, like back in the day was like no way 1 cent, then no way 2 cent, no way, and then it just did all-time highs for living for one period. It was like, what the fuck is this thing doing? So I don't know, but then I don't know what happened. I remember watching it and thinking and hearing, take some profits, set yourself up, maybe, like in terms of taking some profits. I saw people buying insane stuff, saw the Lambos, the Rolexes, all the mad shit. And I was just like, I kept thinking, okay, well, it's going to maintain its price relatively, but then it started to pull back. It was like from all-time high to, I think it was maybe the trigger. So I was thinking like everyone's like a Hexican, and they weren't gonna like just mass dump, but I saw mass dumping. I was like, what's happening? And then it pulled back up a bit. I think it went down, then it went back up to like 20, 30, and it pulled back down, and then just keep going down. I'm like, shit, what is going on, man? In the meantime, I had this tiny little, like, from retirement and shit. I'm like, oh my god, what's going on, man? And then I found out some interesting stuff I had to fix in real life, not crypto related, and got that sorted. And now basically I'm just ticking along, waiting for price recovery, waiting for Pulse Chain itself, maybe some inflow. I've got some other stuff going on. I might be getting some money back from a long time ago, this like crypto scam. I had to like basically I might be getting some money back, which is very interesting, very, very interesting. That would help a lot. And so basically I put the Hex away to the side. I've gone, well, fuck it, it can just stay, it can keep doing its thing, you know, because there's no way I was selling a very small stack at like a very like 1,000. I was like, no way, this was worth a lot more. And then I feel for the people who got in and maybe they bought into the all-time highs and they're just like, what the fuck, I bought this all-time high, this is, you know, I could imagine that. And it's like, how do you explain to them? It's like, and then they say the OGs are like dumping everything. I'm like, dude, I've been in this thing from the beginning. I'm not driving no Lambo, not yet, you know. And what else? I might clip this part out and be like, this is day 1, 2, 3, 4 of Hex, of my Hex experience. That's what I reckon I'll do. And yeah, it's just crazy. And then now we're seeing Now we're seeing what's it called? This ultra SEC FUD, and whatever is coming in like unison across the planet. It's just awful. Can you see the emojis? Yeah, man. Hang on. So wait, yeah, so in the chat I can see like hundreds smiling. Yeah. Nice. That's like a function, yeah? Good old HEXicans. Cheers for tuning in, Finbear. It's like, I think it's just me and you in here. It was so weird, man. Like my internet, I disconnected everything and I went back to these pages and it reconnected. I'm like, dude, what the hell's going on, man? Anyway, maybe there was a duplicate. I still don't see how though. Yeah, I don't. And then I guess the next thing is the age-old question: what's going to happen on release? You know, I honestly don't know. I'm staked out the wazoo, so I literally have no game plan in terms of getting a double. It just depends whether or not stakes will end. It depends on the time frame of the release. Yeah. It might be I don't want to say dates because, you know, but what if it's like delayed? Not delayed, but what if it's just like takes longer to work on because software is hard, and then it takes so long another stake comes out, and I'm going to be sitting there scratching my head going, alright dude, what do I do now? You know, do I try and take some profit? Do I like not scrape, but like, do I take any profit? It's like, but why before the double? You know, makes no sense. But that's like the question. Oh, what about if people dump EHEX? Is it going to get not abandoned, but is it going to get to the point where you know, only original-ish sort of HEXicans play on it because they've got so much of it, relative to like a smaller person who maybe throws in like $1,000 or something, or 10,000, and then, you know, they sort of will be put off possibly by the high Ethereum gas fee. And it's like, what will the price of EHEX be? And then it's like, will there be a mass exodus, or will people be putting up LPs on both sides? Will people be purely chasing pulse chain, and then, you know, not forgetting about Hex so much, but we've already kind of seen it a bit in well, I think I've not experienced it personally, but from my like lenses, I have viewed sort of ever since Pulse Chain came out, was like talked about, and then there was Pulse X, and then it appeared as if different like groups were forming, and it was like fractioning off. Like different projects got they had sacrifices, and then there was other sacrifices, and then there's more and more. And I guess it's good that things are being built on there. But I'm like, something changed in the community. I don't know what it was. I think it was just as everything got larger. As everything got larger, I think everything sort of, you know, not fragmented, but people became less connected, I would say. Different groups form, and now we're seeing a whole new sort of evolution of HEXico. Some of the familiar faces that are more well known, well, to me, that were familiar and well known to me, have sort of not dropped off, but they're not there as much. I guess because there's not as much to talk about, because But like, it's like, you know, preaching to the choir, because most people who were there in the early days, boredom. Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Like how many times could I do a stream? Like, if I just did streams purely explain to people, like, did you know Pulse Chain might come out and it might provide you a lot cheaper rate to transact on every single thing. It's like, you can only say that so many times, and then people are going to watch it once, maybe watch it twice. Are they really going to watch it a third time, you know? I mean, that's just me. That's my logical thinking, you know? But yeah, then Hexco kind of changed in terms of the people who are there, and I'm guessing I remember early on, like, they were talking about the next wave of streamers, the next wave. And then I'm just wondering, like, did people, like, just generally, did people just take mad profits and they're out, congratulations, and golden handshake sort of stuff, you know? I mean, no one blames them, shit. But then it's like, how do I put it? Because it is, in essence, we the people. So, you know, we the people who are sort of keeping Hexco alive. And then once Pulse Chain kicks in, I have a feeling lots of people will return. But whether or not it's enough to reach out to everyone in all of the crypto space, or it'll reach out to, like, within Hexco itself, you know, it's hard to say. You're right. And then there could be people who just purely came in for a quick profit, to extract some value then out. That's possible too, you know. It's just going to be super interesting watching. It's like the world's largest social experiment at this point. I think once it hit the all-time high, it became extremely one of the world's largest social experiment within crypto, because people had seen mad gains. It's like, what the hell? This is crazy, you know. You hear all the good stories, so I guess that's the good stuff, you know, the positive. But yeah, but then now it's like people have endured some all-time lows, and this is the thing. So people who had a lot more than me, I would say, felt this a lot harder. And I'm in this, like, unique position where not easy come, easy go, but seeing nice figures and then not so nice figures, but it wouldn't have mentally messed with me as hard, because if there was like a few more zeros in the figures I was seeing, dude, that would have been mind bending, face melting sort of figures that you would have seen and be like, what is this? This is insane. And then it pulls back, and then you're thinking, oh crap, you know, sort of like maybe boredom kicks in, you know, maybe like whatever. I'm not sure. I would like to think everyone sort of tries to, you know, get together and push back against these freedoms being taken away from us, because I've always seen crypto as a tool. I've always thought in my gut, there's something about crypto, it's going to give me financial freedom. And then as I moved on, I started to discover freedoms are being taken. Financial freedom is important. Then I moved on. I'm like, hang on, this is how the world works. This is insane, you know. Something's wrong with the financial systems. Something's wrong with the legacy systems. I studied them, entered into them, found out it's pretty average, to be honest. The pay was alright though, but I'm like, this is gonna be life. Like, this is really gonna be life in this sort of system. It was literally the stuff we used to talk about, you know, trapped in 9 to 5, don't have enough energy and time to do anything, basically, at the end of the day, exhausted. And then if you got kids, you have to look after these kids. It's like, I've read documentaries like, is that the best time to be looking after other people when you're tired, exhausted, and have a short temper, you know, that sort of stuff. And I thought, well, maybe maybe it's a cryptocurrency will give me some freedoms. But I've been burnt so many times before. I was like, and then this thing did this thing. I'm like, oh my god, god damn! Thank you, Richard Hart. Thank you so much. But then it's like, hang on, but how much profit I've actually taken? And then the greed brain kicks in, and I'm thinking, imagine multiplying that by like 10, 20, 100. You would be sort of feeling, I don't know what you'd be feeling. You'd be thinking, I've never lost so much money in my goddamn life. It's probably what you'd be feeling. And if you'd made some plans on the all-time highs and thinking you could sort of scrape infinitely for the rest of your life based on the amount of tokens you have, yeah. Like I remember I was watching one stream and the dude was like, it was near the all-time highs, and he's like, he just has to sell every time. He just comes, he just sells. And I'm like, thinking, now looking back, going, oh, that's probably not a bad idea. But then I would have been like, did you give those law proposals? No, I'm still working on that in the background. I'm thinking, it's too much for it to comprehend with this version. It's, what's it called? It's like it can't take that sort of information, and I'm not sure if its ability is built into. So if I go like section 1 of the paper, section 2, and then section up to 100 sections, and then feed it back to it, and then ask it to like summarize all of it, if it actually will learn all the sections. Like I might be able to say, can you summarize all the sections I've given to you? So I have to word it. I'll have to break it down into section, feed it in, and then go back through and check it. I would love to see it, man, in like I'd love to see it like in like ultra mode, supercomputer mode, and you just feed it like an entire bill and then pay some insane amount of money and be like, okay, tell me what this means, and then it breaks it all down. That would be extremely useful, because the way to do it now is quite tedious. Can be done, but if you're a good lawyer, you'd be like reading it as well at the same pace. But this might help you as well. You could like back check it against your notes that you create, and then understand that, and then yeah. But yeah, so that, I'm guessing, law proposals to AI. That would be dude, I went through, and it's pretty complex stuff, because when you comment on it, it's not asking it, the way I read it, it's not so much asking like, what's your experience been in crypto, or what, like, do you like crypto or whatever. It's more like it wants, like, they want real feedback, and then if you give them real feedback, then they will like consider it. But if it's very open and vague, it might be harder for them, because they'll be like, what is this person talking about? Is it relevant to which law? Let's have a look. I think it was this one here, public feedback. And in the notes, it was proposed rules. So what I would do, I would go through the 166 page monster. Basically, yeah, I was dropping in section by section, like say summary, dates, but some of it's like more straightforward into like, how to respond, what to respond. But then once it starts to get into it, it's like background. You could drop in section 1 up to, maybe up to here, maybe section B. But then you start dropping this into it, it might overwhelm the system. It currently is. Yeah, cool. Alright. Cheers, man, for tuning in. I will wrap this one up. But yeah. Later, man. And then, yeah. Do C. Anyone else who catches this in the replay. Then you do A. It's getting pretty heavy there. You'd have to like ask what is it saying in simple terms. And you might have to learn some of these regulations, you know, what that means. A lot of stuff. And then you'd have to ask, you know, what is it actually saying? And you gotta ask how you're gonna give it good feedback, you know, feedback that they can read and understand, because they probably having troubles understanding all this. Or they just don't want to tell us because we saw Mr. Gensler, you know. Now, where was I? Yeah. Alright, I will close this one out. Thank you for tuning in. I might better clip out some of this section to the life of a HEXican in day 123. Alright, peace.